Hello, this is Frank, and we're now moving on to the Illinois CDL practice test. This test is designed for anyone preparing to obtain their commercial driver's license in Illinois, covering essential knowledge about vehicle operation, safety regulations, and proper driving techniques. Whether you're aiming to drive trucks, buses, or other commercial vehicles, these questions will help you prepare for the real exam. Let's get straight into the questions. What is the minimum tread depth required on front steering tires? It's 4/32 inch. This greater tread depth on steering tires is crucial because these tires are responsible for maintaining directional control and handling, especially in wet conditions where proper water evacuation is essential. Moving on, what is the minimum tread depth on other tires? It's 2/32 inch. While still important for traction, non-steering tires can safely operate with less tread depth than front steering tires, though you should always aim to maintain tires in good condition for optimal safety. Next question. At the start of a pre-trip inspection, what should you do first? Review the last vehicle inspection report. This ensures you're aware of any previous issues or defects that were noted, allowing you to verify they've been properly addressed before beginning your own inspection. Let's continue. When should you use four-way flashers on a stopped CMV? When stopped on the shoulder or disabled. Four-way flashers alert other drivers to your stationary position, helping prevent rear-end collisions when your vehicle is unexpectedly stopped or moving slowly. Time for the next question. What is the safest backing practice? Avoid backing whenever possible. Since backing is one of the most dangerous maneuvers in commercial driving with limited visibility and increased accident risk, the best strategy is to plan your route to minimize or eliminate the need to back up. Next up, where should warning triangles be placed on a two-lane road with traffic in both directions? One within 10 feet of the rear, one 100 feet behind, one 100 feet ahead. This configuration warns traffic approaching from both directions, giving them adequate time to react and move around your stopped vehicle safely. Let's see what's next. Where should warning triangles be placed on a divided highway? One within 10 feet of the rear, one 100 feet behind, one 200 feet behind. Since traffic only approaches from behind on a divided highway, all triangles are placed to the rear with increasing distances to provide maximum warning time. Here's another one. On a hill or curve with limited sight distance, where should the farthest warning device be placed? About 500 feet behind the vehicle. The extended distance compensates for the limited visibility, giving approaching drivers more time to see the warning and react appropriately before encountering your stopped vehicle. Continuing on. When required to stop at a railroad crossing, where must you stop? Between 15 and 50 feet from the nearest rail. This distance provides a safe buffer from the tracks while still allowing you to clearly see and hear approaching trains from both directions. Moving on. When should you downshift for a long downgrade? Before starting down the grade. Selecting the proper gear before descending allows you to control your speed with engine braking rather than relying solely on your service brakes, which could overheat and fade. Next question. How can you help prevent brake fade on long downgrades? Use a low gear and use intermittent snub braking. This technique combines engine braking with controlled brake applications, allowing the brakes to cool between applications and maintain their effectiveness. Let's continue. What is the recommended following distance for a 40-feet vehicle at 35 miles per hour? 4 seconds. This follows the general rule of 1 second for every 10 feet of vehicle length, providing adequate time and space to react and stop safely. Time for the next question. What is the recommended following distance for a 60-feet vehicle at 50 miles per hour? 7 seconds. At higher speeds, you need additional following distance beyond the basic formula to account for increased stopping distance and reaction time requirements. Next up, at what blood alcohol concentration are CMV drivers considered under the influence? 0.04%. Commercial drivers are held to a stricter standard than regular drivers because of the increased responsibility and potential danger associated with operating large commercial vehicles. Let's see what's next. How many hours must pass after drinking alcohol before operating a CMV? 4 hours. Federal regulations require this minimum waiting period, though it's important to note that depending on consumption, alcohol may remain in your system much longer. Here's another one. What does anti-lock braking systems do for CMVs? Helps prevent wheel lock and maintains steering control. ABS allows you to maintain steering ability during hard braking by preventing the wheels from locking up, which is especially critical in emergency situations. Continuing on. Which fire extinguisher rating is appropriate for electrical fires? Class C extinguishers are specifically designed for electrical fires, using non-conductive agents that won't create additional hazards when fighting fires involving energized electrical equipment. Moving on, how many tie-downs are required for a single 9 feet long cargo item? 2. The minimum requirement is 2 tie-downs for cargo 10 feet or less, ensuring the load is secured at multiple points to prevent shifting during transport. Next question. How many tie-downs are required for a single 20 feet long cargo item? 3. For cargo longer than 10 feet, you need 2 tie-downs plus 1 additional tie-down for every additional 10 feet or fraction thereof. Let's continue. How should you test the service brakes during a road test of the vehicle? While moving slowly, apply the brakes firmly and note any pull or unusual feel. This safe testing method allows you to identify brake problems like uneven adjustment or worn components without creating a dangerous situation. Time for the next question. When should you turn off the engine retarder? On wet, icy, or slippery roads. Engine retarders can cause drive wheels to lose traction on slippery surfaces, potentially leading to skids or jackknifing, especially with light or empty trailers. Next up, what is the best way to back a trailer? Back to the driver's side at idle speed with small steering corrections. Driver's side backing provides better visibility, while slow speed and small corrections help maintain control and prevent overcorrection. Let's see what's next. A low air pressure warning device must activate no lower than what pressure? 55 psi. This warning gives you time to safely stop the vehicle before the spring brakes automatically apply due to insufficient air pressure. Here's another one. At approximately what pressure do spring brakes typically apply? 20 to 45 psi. Spring brakes are designed to automatically engage when air pressure drops to this range, serving as both a parking brake and emergency brake system. Continuing on, what is a normal air governor cutout pressure range? 120 to 140 psi. The governor controls when the air compressor stops pumping, preventing overpressurization of the air brake system while maintaining adequate reserve pressure. Moving on. What is the maximum air loss rate for a single vehicle with brakes released? 2 psi per minute. This standard helps identify air leaks in the system that could compromise brake performance if left unrepaired. Next question. What is the maximum air loss rate for a combination vehicle with the brakes applied? 4 psi per minute. The slightly higher allowable loss rate accounts for the additional connections and components in a combination vehicle's air system. Let's continue. How do you check the parking brake holds? Set the parking brake, then gently pull against it in low gear. This test confirms the parking brake has sufficient holding power to keep the vehicle stationary on grades and during loading operations. Time for the next question. How do you check a secure trailer connection after coupling? Do a tug test with trailer brakes applied. Pulling gently forward with the trailer brakes locked verifies the fifth wheel jaws are properly locked around the kingpin. Next up, before coupling a trailer, the fifth wheel should be tilted down toward the trailer with jaws open. This position allows the trailer's kingpin to properly enter and seat in the fifth wheel during the coupling process. Let's see what's next. After connecting air lines to a trailer, you should lock the glad hands and check that lines are not crossed or chafing. Proper connection and routing prevents air loss and ensures the service and emergency lines function correctly. Here's another one. Before pulling out from under a trailer when uncoupling, you should lower the landing gear to just touch, then crank a few extra turns in low gear. This ensures the trailer is properly supported and won't drop when the tractor pulls away, preventing damage to both the trailer and fifth wheel. Continuing on, what is the main reason to slide the fifth wheel? To adjust weight distribution on tractor axles. Sliding the fifth wheel forward or backward changes how the trailer's weight is distributed between the drive axles and steer axle, helping you comply with axle weight limits. Moving on, which tanker condition has the highest rollover risk? Partially filled tank. Liquid surge in partially filled tanks creates dangerous shifting forces during turns, stops, and acceleration, making the vehicle much more prone to rollover than when full or empty. Next question. Why should you avoid using cruise control on rain, snow, or ice? It can cause loss of traction and reduce control. Cruise control can't detect slippery conditions and may accelerate when wheels lose traction, making it harder to maintain control of the vehicle. Let's continue. If oncoming headlights are bright at night, where should you look? At the right edge of your lane. This technique helps you maintain lane position while avoiding the temporary blindness that comes from looking directly at bright lights. Time for the next question. What condition most often leads to tire blowouts in hot weather? Underinflation. Underinflated tires flex more, generating excessive heat that weakens the tire structure and dramatically increases the risk of sudden failure. Next up, after driving through deep water, you should gently apply the brakes to dry them. Light brake applications create friction heat that evaporates water from brake components, restoring normal braking effectiveness. Let's see what's next. When must you recheck cargo securement after starting a trip? Within the first 50 miles, then every 150 miles or 3 hours. Cargo tends to settle and shift most during the initial miles of transport, making early rechecks critical for safety. Here's another one. When parking a CMV on a steep grade, you should set the parking brake and chock the wheels. This double protection ensures the vehicle won't roll even if one system fails, providing maximum safety on steep inclines. Continuing on. At railroad crossings, a school bus driver must stop 15 to 50 feet, open door and window, look and listen. This procedure maximizes the driver's ability to detect approaching trains using both sight and sound before proceeding across the tracks. Moving on. Who is responsible for ensuring required placards are on a vehicle transporting hazardous materials? The driver and carrier. Both parties share legal responsibility for proper placarding, as it's critical for emergency responders and other drivers to identify hazardous cargo. Next question. Where must hazardous materials shipping papers be kept during transport? Within driver's reach while seat-belted or in the driver door pouch. This accessibility ensures emergency responders can quickly identify the hazardous materials in case of an accident when the driver may be incapacitated. Let's continue. How should you cross railroad tracks when you do not need to stop? Shift to a gear that lets you cross without shifting. Avoiding gear changes while on the tracks prevents the possibility of stalling or getting stuck in a vulnerable position. Time for the next question. If your vehicle is stuck on railroad tracks, what should you do first? Evacuate and call the posted railroad emergency number. Getting everyone to safety and alerting the railroad to stop approaching trains takes priority over any attempt to save the vehicle. Next up, where is the trailer ABS indicator light usually located? On the left rear of the trailer. This standardized location makes it easy for drivers to check ABS function during pre-trip inspections and monitor system status. Let's see what's next. How should you adjust for off-tracking on right turns? Make the turn wide, keeping the rear of the trailer close to the curb. Starting wide compensates for the trailer's tendency to cut the corner, preventing it from hitting curbs, signs, or other objects. Here's another one. What is the first thing you should do if a front tire blows out? Hold the steering wheel firmly and stay off the brake. Maintaining directional control is critical, as braking could cause loss of control when the vehicle is already unstable from the blowout. Continuing on. If your vehicle begins to skid, you should release the brakes and steer in the direction you want to go. This technique allows the tires to regain traction while you guide the vehicle back under control through proper steering input. Moving on. What is the safest lighting to use on open roads at night when legal and there is no oncoming traffic? Use high beams. High beams significantly extend your visibility distance, giving you more time to identify and react to hazards on dark roads. And that completes this practice test. Great job working through these questions.